Marcus Norman of Gentleman Style Podcast Show. And today I'm excited. Oh my gosh, I've missed you guys. This is going to be dope. We are going to talk about something that truly has been a problem in the United States. And this girl, this young lady that I am bringing to the stage, she is changing the world. One person, one individual, one family, one household, one at a time. And you won't want to miss 1 second. We are going to talk about mental health and how it's impacting our families, our friends, our loved ones, and everyone we hold dear. You won't want to miss 1 second of what this young lady has to talk about. She is dope. And I had the honor to have her on the Gentleman Style Podcast stage. Stay tuned. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Here we go. Hey everyone, I'm your host Marcus of Gentleman Style Podcast Show, and I have coming to the stage. She has branded herself as I Am Erika Genice, and she prides herself. She loves people, and she is making an impact. She has a deep respect for humanity and a passion for helping people become their best selves and live their absolute best lives. And she's doing it with a focus through mental health initiatives, personal development, and spiritual development. She's a public speaker, author, motivational encourager, and my friend. I love her, and you're gonna love her. Coming to the stage today, she is absolutely phenomenal and a powerhouse, a storm to be reckoned with. You won't want to miss her. Help me welcome to the stage the incredible, the amazing Erika Genice. How are you? How are you? Look incredible.
Thank you. While you was giving my bio, I was back here like, that's me. You better hype me up. You better hype me up. Thank you. I'm so happy to be here.
So happy to have you. You deserve every second of it, man. You are incredible. Since we became friends, I've watched your story and I've watched it change and I've watched the impact you've done. And you are doing incredible work. And you see the passion, you hear the passion, you hear the heart behind you and your guests when you guys talk about mental health. So I was excited. I was ecstatic to have you. And I've been looking forward to this all week. And so again, thank you for being amazing. I am here. I'm excited. But tell us, who is Erika? You've branded yourself. And who is Erika? What can we expect from you? What can we look forward from?
Yes. So Erika Genice. So my first name is Erika, middle name is Genice. And, when I started this brand and when I started my podcast, which is called Dope Conversations with Dope People, I wasn't quite sure how to brand it. And I'm like, what better way to brand something than yourself? And so Erika Genice, she is just a broken gal, attempting to heal out loud. I truly believe that healing starts, Marcus, when a person's pain, past, and vulnerabilities are met with relatability. And I think that we all can kind of agree that social media hasn't really given us that space to do it, which is why primarily my content, as you know, is a social media based, because social media has given us all of this filtered sort of life. And so I just decided to heal out loud. I decided to heal boldly. And so that's my brand.
That's so true. And that's so dope. And that's necessary, right?
Yeah.
I say this all the time. That is necessary. And we need advocates like you. We need dope people like you, having dope conversations, talking about the hard stuff. I had the unique pleasure of tuning in. You guys, I have a short clip for you guys. I have a special
Oh,
treat. You guys need to tune in. Check her out. This is one of her most incredible interviews. I watch all her shows, but this one really stood out to me. Take a look, you guys.
welcome to the virtual healing room. Listen, you about to see all teeth, hands, shoulders, because I am your host, Erika Genice, and you already know I have dope conversations with dope people. The purpose of this platform is to inspire and motivate people to improve the relationship with self. We have us joining us again. It's Cherish Torres. She came through, you guys. She came to bless our platform again.
So much. Thank you.
You're welcome, and welcome back. All right, guys, you already know I can't forget about y'all.
Never going to be their number one. You're never going to be the love of their life. You're just never going to be that because they literally always have an endless supply of you. Well, actual narcissist is just a personality trait. The word narcissist itself is just a personality trait to where you might see some symptoms of what a real narcissistic person is, but it's not all the time. It's not constant. It's not who they are.
Can you be a narcissist but not be actually like diagnosed with the disorder? Or just both of those kind of go hand in hand? Practice, and we could not be more proud of her. I remember when you were talking about this and the fact that you got accepted, your manifestation. I feel like you talked about it on my live and then you posted about it.
Everything now is got show with action. Talk, show with action. So they showing it with action. And so then you're doing that and you're like, okay.
This was our first conversation this year. I've been anticipating this. I feel so comfortable. I feel like this conversation was so much healing. Love you guys. Thank you so much. Cherish, thank you for your time.
Thank you as always.
Yeah. Okay. We'll talk soon. Good night, everyone. That was my conversation on narcissism.
Tell us about that. Absolutely. Tell us about that. Y'all, she is dope. Tell us about that interview a little bit here. Why focus on narcissism?
Yeah, so I feel like my topics are absolutely God-led. And you hear this buzzword of narcissism, and I think a lot of us don't necessarily know, at least I didn't, know exactly what it meant. And so I brought my friend on my live to where she was able to kind of just break down what narcissism means, the traits of them, the lookouts, and kind of also what it's not. And so it just was such a phenomenal live. And thank you for highlighting it. So many people came out, and I think there's just so much that we did not know about it. And so I think that she gave us the opportunity to dive deeper into it.
She absolutely did. She absolutely did.
You were on there. You were on there. Were you surprised by any of the information that you received?
I was surprised to some of it, yes, some of it, no. I got a mixed bag, right?
Yeah.
Because I'm not completely blind to narcissism, but I think you in that interview you really pointed out some of the really hard flags to pay attention to, right? You and your guest pointed out some really prominent flags that we oftentimes ignore in dating, in friendships, in all the ships, right? In any of those things. And so you and your guest really pointed that out, and bringing that to the forefront is absolutely crucial. So I thank you for that interview. I was in it, and as you guys saw, I was in that comments.
You was like them chats up. I was like, look at Marcus engaged. Okay, you were in there.
I truly enjoyed the energy, the giving nature. What you all will see with Miss Erika is the heart behind everything. Everything she touches, everything she does is full of life and full of joy, and it really means to make impact, and it really helps, and it really changes the paradigm. That's how we get better, y'all, is we have to talk about the hard things sometimes, and that is hard, especially to a narcissist. If any narcissists were in the audience, right, they're probably like, oh,
hey y'all, hey narcissists, welcome. We welcome you to the live.
But Erika, I completely enjoyed that interview, and I completely enjoy what you do. And
Thank you.
it's an honor to have you here again, sister, my friend. What has been your personal experience? Because you focus on something very specific in our community, in our world, is mental health.
Yeah.
What has been your personal experience with mental health, and how are you dealing with it today?
Yeah. So I would say that mental health for me has been around since birth. My dad is a recovering drug, alcohol, and an abuser, and him and my mom were married for roughly 28 years, and so you can only imagine how that sort of environment not only shaped my mom but also shaped me and ultimately my siblings. Also, around the age of 13, I developed a very, very, very deep fear of dying and started having uncontrollable anxiety attacks. And my therapist and I, we were trying to trace back, like, where did this start? How did this happen? And we traced back to my granny passing around. I think I was like 12 or 13, and it just kind of, she was there one minute, and the next minute, my dad was on the floor. He was crying. He was screaming. I think it was the first time that I saw a man be in so much pain. But it wasn't really talked about. Her departure was just, she was here and then she was gone. And I think that because we didn't have a household of talking about death and how to deal with death and grief and loss, that it just was kind of brushed under the rug. And I was left with my feelings of, what do I do with this now? One of the people that I absolutely love for 12 to 13 years, she's no longer here. What do we do with this? And so those were some of my beginnings. And I struggled with anxiety. I feel like I still struggle with it. It's just not as heavy as it was. Once I really got my relationship right with God and really got into a therapist to try to trace back the origin and like ways to manage, things got a lot better. Marcus, my anxiety was so bad that I used to hit my right wrist on the wall to stop the anxiety attacks, and they normally only happened at night. And so I've lost actually nerve damage in my, or I have nerve damage in my right wrist. And so that's how powerful anxiety is, and what is not dealt with. And so those are my early beginnings, and how I'm doing today is I'm healedish. I never think that we ever get to a point where you're completely 100% healed. I think life has a way of piling things on top of one another. And I say I'm healedish. I'm in the depending on the day, right? I think that's all of us, depending on the day, depending on the situation. Life comes with ups and downs and wins and losses, as we know. And so, yeah, I've just started kind of developing principles. I think you probably heard of it. My 4 F's. That's how I live my life on these principles, which is faith, freedom, finances, and fitness. If I have those 4 areas in my life, um, at a really good space, my anxiety and life just, this is a little bit better for me.
My goodness, incredible. Miss Erica, that's when did it first set in? Was it almost immediate when you lost seemingly your best friend in a
Yeah.
matter of hours? Was the impact immediate? Did it take some time to onset? And when did you recognize, hey, this is different about me? I've never had this before. When did it come to fruition for you?
Yeah. So I think that it happened almost immediately. When something traumatic happens in life and it's not talked about, and we're talking about developmentally, right? Development years. And 13, I didn't really know myself. I didn't know what grief was. I think it was the first time I ever lost someone. And so I would say that it started at the age of 13. And I would say just recognizing just mental, just like mental illnesses, or recognizing that I wasn't handling certain situations in the best way. I think that just has happened over time, right? Just again, life piling one thing on top of the other. And so I would say it probably happened at the age of 13, and then life had its way at me, as it does with everyone.
Right. So true. So true.
Yeah.
You
And
are,
also grief. Also, grief is in so many different ways, Marcus, that no one tells you. We think about grief just as the loss of a loved one. But as we've gotten older, we realize that grief is also a loss of a relationship. It's also a loss of a child, a loss of a job, a loss of expectations. We don't talk about grief in that way. We just think about just death being, okay, it's never coming back. But like, what about just normalized conversations about the loss of anything? And I think it's just a conversation again, as I pointed out, bringing these closed door conversations to the forefront and grief. And I also have a live coming up too. I know you saw it, where I'm having a live with grief recovery. And it's ladies, they host a podcast. They're absolutely amazing. I don't even want to tell you their story because I couldn't do it justice, but they've lost a couple kids year after year, family members, jobs. And like, if you could see just their way of doing life, and like you could still live a fulfilled life after grief. But that's not what we're taught. We're taught that when someone dies, we often die with it. And so, yeah. So I have a live coming up with that. That wasn't a shameless plug, but kinda. So look for that live. We got to normalize grief.
it's a normal plug. It's a necessary plug. It needs to be talked about.
Yeah.
It needs to be discussed, and we're not having that conversation anymore. And you and I kind of do the same thing. We talk about the topics that are hard. That's how you change the world. That's how you make impact. That's how you start the healing, is to acknowledge that it's there. You address the elephant in the room. So
but early too, Marcus. Early. We got to start doing it early. Here we are, I'm 39, and here we are kind of just now talking about me and my anxiety and unpacking grief. I want to start talking to that with my child. She's 6. We have a dog. He's 9. Okay. And he looking like you got any minute now. Okay. He's getting old. But it's a matter of like, we could talk about death in a sense of a pet or a goldfish, dog, cat. Like, we just act like, oh, they just were here one day and they were gone. But I think it's if it starts at a young age, it's not just that the person just ascended up to heaven and you gonna be next at some point. Let's talk about what that means. Let's normalize those conversations. And let's not start when someone's 39 or 40. Let's start talking about that at 5 and 6 and start planting that seed of, at some point too, I'll be gone, and what that looks like for her.
Ooh, ouch. Mic drop. Oh my God. You're so right. We have a quick commercial break, y'all. We got to pay some bills in this house, but we will be right back. Stay with us. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Good day, podcast listeners. This is your boy, Marcus Norman of Gentleman Style Podcast Show. I wanted to let you guys know that we will be rolling out a new feature and adding a join sponsor button next to the subscriber button here at the bottom of your screen. Once you click the button, it will display 3 membership levels. Gentleman Gentry, which is our entry level, Duke Duchess, which is our season level, and the Emperor and Empress, which is our most sophisticated level, which you will receive unique perks and benefits at each differing level and gain access to our community tab. We will also be sharing polls, upcoming events, and interviews, as well as receive feedback from our sponsors directly. Your support helps me find new and exciting guests to bring to the stage live. Well, in order to get the higher end speakers, it requires, you guessed it, money. So thank you for tuning in to my channel. And if becoming a sponsor sounds good to you, Then select the join button below and choose your desired sponsor level. Let's continue to grow and serve the future of generations of men and women to come. Love you guys. Bye.
We are back to the Gentleman Style Podcast Show. And I have with me the incredible, the amazing, the fantastic, the super fragilistic, expialidocious Miss Erika Genice. And she's here spilling the tea on her podcast, her show, and her platform. And what she talks about and what her focus is mental health. We just covered a whole lot of ground. We talked about narcissism. We talked about mental health. We talked about helping people. We talked about loving each other. We talked about a dog, right? If you guys missed that, go back.
And the goldfish.
And the goldfish. Go back, scroll back, and check her out. She's dropping tea all over this episode. I personally feel, right, people who suffer from mental health have the biggest hearts and are the most amazing people. We got Oprah Winfrey, Robin Williams, Stephen Boss Twitch. And what are your thoughts? Because I feel the people who are suffering are the biggest givers. They're the biggest lovers. They're the biggest, they want to help everybody, right? Am I wrong? Am I way off here?
I don't think that you're way off. I just feel like people want mental health to have a look. They want mental health and mental illness and suffering to have this gloomy or somber look. And that's just, as we know, it's just not the case anymore. I don't think anyone's safe when it comes to mental health. And I think we have to debunk these ideas that if this person isn't shut in their room, if they're not coming to brunch and they're not taking a trip and they just seem so sad, that is the look of mental health. Mental health is real. And it could be the twitches. It could be the me. It could be the you. It could be the people that show up to work who helps everyone and they're always smiling and they always are down for whatever. Mental health doesn't have a look. And so I think that when we feel like the nicest people suffer the worst, I don't know if that's necessarily true. What I also will too, Marcus, go further and say is that, and I could be completely wrong and I'm cool with that, but I think that overly nice people and overly kind and overly heroic people tend to be also the people that their friends and family go to lend the shoulder and to cry on. They're the people that will sacrifice their own happiness for others. And that in itself is mentally draining. And so I wonder too, if that's part of it, is that the people that we look at that does the cartwheels at the party or comes in smiling and always happy and don't have a bad day in the world. So you think. I wonder if it's because they're conditioned to feel like they have to show up for everyone except for themselves.
Powerful, so true. When it happened to you, when you lost your favorite person in the world, when did you come forward? When did you say, I need to do something about this? Why aren't more people coming forward? How can I, if I see it, if I see someone, if I care about someone, how can we as a community come together and pick up these signs earlier? What is it that it looks like?
So I think it looks like these sort of conversations. I went to brunch with some of my close friends yesterday, and I was having a conversation of, we do brunch, we do trips, we do life, but like, when was the last time we asked, how are you doing? How was your week? How was your mental? How did that breakup affect you? How did that job loss affect you? Like, how's your money? How are things? And I think that family and friends, they're all about fun, which I appreciate. No big deal. Like, I can have fun with the best of them, but like, are we checking on people? And I think to your other question is, why don't more people come forward? Well, it's the fear of judgment. It's the fear of rejection. It's the fear of shame. Think about it. Marcus, I don't know if you've ever been rejected or judged, but your girl has time after time after time again. And that sort of judgment and rejection and shame, you start to form this belief that it will always be this way. And so I think we go into protection mode and we turn inward. And if you think about it, like anytime you turn inward and you can't talk about certain things, that eats at you. That is the mental health. That is the problem that people are having. They're not coming forward and saying that I'm struggling. It's they're keeping it inside, and it's not doing them justice or other people that they absolutely love. And so I think that we have to get to a place where we allow people's pain and emotions to be relatable, because me and you can go back and forth right now and say, Marcus, have you been through this? Have you been through a loss? We've been through a loss. I'm sure you've been through heartbreak. I'm sure you've been through a job loss, the loss of yourself, the gain of weight, the loss of weight. Like, we can go back and forth. And I bet, being you haven't spent any sort of intimate time together, but just think about it. If you and I spent an hour together, we'll be more relatable than you think. And I think that it covers any sort of ethnicity, race. I think that if all of us sat in the same room and talked about the things that we've been through, how amazing and powerful that will be. And so I think it's giving people space to feel like I can say and be vulnerable with people.
So true. So true. That is true. And yeah, I get rejected all the time. Yes, I've gone through rejection. I've gone through the heartbreak. I've gone through
Yes.
And for anyone in the audience, you've probably experienced those moments. And it's the coming forward part is the act of bravery. It's the coming forward and being courageous and being just strong enough. I can say there are moments where I feel like, oh, this isn't how I'm supposed to act. This is weak, but it's not actually a sign of weakness. It's a sign of strength when you can come forward, because no one gets through this alone. No one. We didn't get through the pandemic alone. You don't get through anything. You can't build a business alone. You can't do anything by yourself. And so we need people. We need those connections.
Yes, we do.
I have a 60-minute clip that talks about exactly what Miss Erika is talking about. Check this out, y'all.
The U.S. Surgeon General has called it an urgent public health crisis, a devastating decline in the mental health of kids across the country. According to the CDC, the rates of suicide, self-harm, anxiety, and depression are up among adolescents.
Is there any group that's not being impacted? No, we're seeing it all. Kids, who come from very well-off families, kids who don't, kids who are suburban, kids who are urban, kids who are rural. We're seeing it all.
This is 48 days, and for children, it's often longer.
What does it say to you that the place they have to come is the emergency room? That there's something wrong with our system. The emergency room should not be the place to.
I have a couple questions for you to answer on the iPad.
To manage the mental health crisis and heavy caseload, Dr. Pickett introduced an iPad with a series of questions that screen the mental health of every child 10 and older who comes to your family would be better off if you were dead. Harsh questions that can be lifesavers to the kids.
Your generation, got hit with this in what's supposed to be kind of a fun, carefree time. What was lost? What did you guys lose during the pandemic?
Myself.
Yourself. Kids are able to see their friends again and play sports, that this would all go away. Has it?
No, I've noticed that the wait lists are longer. Kids are struggling with more anxiety, more depression.
It was over 50 of them that just flooded my mind. I don't really know if it was from all the just antisocialness.
And so having the therapist in our clinic to really just be on a team together, discuss that patient and family together, to bounce ideas off of each other, because we both know them so well.
Find mental health resources for kids and families in crisis at 60minutesovertime.com.
This is huge. This is what we're talking. This is what Miss Erika is talking about on the show. Mental health is a huge, and the pandemic didn't help. The pandemic didn't help at all. How do you mentioned a therapist? How has a therapist um, helped you transition? Because you use her today. Um, why should more people seek out therapy?
Yeah. So my therapist allows me to be safe with my emotions and vulnerabilities. She allows me to be open and to cry and to laugh and to ask questions that maybe I wouldn't ask my friends because it may be kind of one off, and like would they be able to understand? It's funny. It's probably not funny, but it's funny to me. I had someone send me an inbox and they were kind of just ripping me into shreds about my platform. Like, you're not helping me, you're not helping people, on and on and on and on. And before I responded to it, I called my therapist and said, can we have a session? Let me know what I'm thinking. Should I respond? Should I not respond? Is some of what they're saying true? Is it triggering? What part of that I need to take? And so I think my therapist allows this space for me to unpack any sort of thoughts. And I think that when we say things out loud, we're like, this sounds nuts. No one wants to listen to this, but they do. Because if you don't talk about these things, if you don't talk about your feelings, if I just would have responded to that message, it just would have been a spiral. And so I think therapy has been amazing with regulating my emotions, regulating my thought process, and truly being able to dig into childhood trauma. You know, I say all the time, triggers always go back to childhood trauma. Shame, not feeling good enough, feeling unworthy, feeling unloved. And so before I respond to big things, and it's not, I'm not calling my therapist every time, somebody tell me that, whatever. I ain't calling her every time for that. But I do have a standing appointment every month. I'm booked up into December. And I could show you my calendar. I'm not making this up.
Good.
And sometimes we talk about things that's heavy, Marcus. And then other times we're talking about how to balance my corporate world and dope conversations with dope people. Sometimes I'm having conversations with her and saying that I feel like my faith is kind of withering. What's going on? Am I not going to church enough? Am I not reading the Bible enough? What am I doing? And then I'll have conversations about our love interest. Tell me your thoughts. This is what he presents. Do you see any red flags that maybe I don't see? She's my blind spot. She's my blind spot, and she's my mirror, and she's someone that I trust. And to be honest, she's almost becoming a life coach to me, Marcus. And so I would encourage anyone to get a therapist, and not only get a therapist. I need you to be honest, because that's half of it too, is that people are getting therapists, but they're not really telling the truth. And so your therapist can only help you as much as you want to tell the full story.
Mm. So true, so true, and that's real. The your therapist, my therapist, our therapist is someone that we can go to, and I think we need that gut check. I think we need
Mm,
that sounding board. I think we need that person who's neutral, right?
neutral,
They're not right. They don't care from Adam from Eve. They don't care,
she's not my best friend.
right?
She don't care. She cares about my mental well-being. Like, she's had me walk away from jobs, Marcus. She's had me walk away from potential romantic relationships. Like, I ain't saying I like her. I'm just saying that she good for me. It's a different. I got friends that like me. She not here to like me. She here to gut check me and punch me when I need to be punched. She is my mirror when I don't want it to be a reflection of me. She's that person. You have to have these people in your life.
So true, so true. I'm gonna pivot. The New York talks and shares Twitch
Mm,
on the Ellen DeGeneres show. His death was ruled as a suicide.
mm,
Um, that a common thing to consider? Because I have people, again, you and I, we both have people, we both have loved ones. Is
Yeah.
it a common that suicide is in the picture? I'm trying to say this politically correct. And what do you think happened with him?
Well, suicide's always in the picture. Suicide is always an option. So I think one, we have to start saying that. And as uncomfortable as it makes us feel, it's true. So what I think happened with Twitch's death was a suicide. So per the Los Angeles County Medical Examiner, the coroner, he died by a gunshot wound to the head. And by definition, that would be a suicide. So it was a really, 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 really hard um, realization that that happened. But I think that it happens way often than what we think. I think Twitch's um, Twitch's story, of course, got a little bit more media coverage, and it hit people closer to home because he was in the public eye and he was so fun and so loving. But suicide happens every single day. You know, I consider suicide, Marcus, as um, I consider the person that commits suicide as the victim. And people kind of go back and forth with them that it's selfish, it's this and that. And I don't really care what other people say. I'm standing on that that person was a victim. And he's a victim, and she's a victim of society doing a horrible job with normalizing mental health conversations. According to the Center of Disease and Control Prevention, Marcus, males make up 49% of the population, but nearly 80% of suicides. You know, as I talked earlier, I did the live what a couple weeks back called Emotionally Scarred. And it talked about men and their lack of emotions. And the reality of it is that that 80% didn't really, it didn't really like surprise me. That statistic didn't surprise me at all because men are taught to be hard. They're taught to be tough. They're taught to vulnerability is a complete weakness. They're not okay with opening up and crying. You bet not cry. This is how we teach our young boys. And so now add mental health on top of that. Add mental health on top of I can't cry. I can't be honest. I can't say this. I can't show weakness. And so it creates this emotional hurricane, this internal hurricane. And so I think that's exactly what happened with Twitch is that he wasn't allowed to be a man. He wasn't allowed to be open with his feelings. He didn't feel safe. The world did not give him a safe space to be vulnerable. And it's a shame.
It's a tragedy. It's a huge
It's a
tragedy.
tragedy.
It is. I hate to see death. I've experienced a loved one of mine attempting to take their own life through overdosing. Right. It was literally a scenario of me coming home and they're in the house and they're just all I remember was pill bottles next to them, open pill bottles scattered on the floor, and they're on the floor. And what triggered me to act as I did, because when it comes to things like that, speed is of the essence. And so what prompted me to act is, I picked the person up and I'm looking at them, and the conversation didn't make any sense. Where I'm
Yeah.
trying to converse with him, but one of the main things that stood out to me is their pupils had dilated completely, and so the black part of your eye, hers was completely expanded, so it took
Wow.
over her entire iris, and that made me act and rush her to the hospital. But when you see it, when you're there, when you're in the midst of it, sometimes you can freeze up, right? Because it was new. It was my first time experiencing an attempted suicide. Luckily, the person lived, but it was scary. It was
Yeah.
really, really scary. and who knows what would have happened if I had froze. How can we help someone we know or love open up about what they're going through? How do you bring it up? Do I wait and let you bring it up, or do I, just push and push and push until you open up? What's the best way to go about reaching out to someone I love?
So it's such a hard question
I
because,
know.
when
I'm
we
sorry.
love so hard and we want to push. What I would say is that we have to be bold, but we also have to be tenderhearted at the same time. And I think that when you think about emotions, it's so hard to be both, but we have to learn how to live in this space of I'm being bold, but I also am lending you this sort of compassion. I would also say it's leading by example, Marcus, what we're doing right now. I feel like I'm creating a space for my family and my friends, and of course, my daughter, my beautiful daughter, of like normalizing these sort of conversations, allowing people to open up about conversations that they would normally suppress. Um, there's something to be said about watching people walk in bold faith. It gives you this glimpse of hope. It gives you like, oh, not only, oh, if Marcus can do it, I can do it. And if Erika Genice can do it, I can do it. Okay. Like it's something about showing people that you can rise up out of the darkest times. Um, and we don't have to do this alone. You already know I'm a Christian. I am a believer of the Bible, and God has filled us with His life-giving like spirit, and has given us the ability to not walk at this alone. Like you can have a therapist and God. Like, look, we got a whole like therapist, God, and friends. Like, you got a whole thing going on. And so I think giving people permission to have different outlets, but you're never alone. You are absolutely never alone. And God has given us the Holy Spirit to help us during this journey.
I love that. I love that. What I hear is, be bold, y'all. Be bold. Be daring. Be giving. But remind. I think what I'm hearing and feeling in this moment is keep that open space. Keep that door open. Never shut your door to a friend. Just if nothing else, remind them, hey, I'm here for you. I love you. Um, and I'm not assuming anything, but I want you to know if you ever need me, I'm here for you. I think that's the best way with love, with kindness, with compassion, and a heart of gold. As you see, my guests, incredible guests here, um, open the door and leave it open and remind those that you care about that this is always a safe space. Miss Erika, what keeps you going? What has kept you going? Because you've experienced this firsthand. You've lost someone that you truly love. What keeps you going and what pushes you? What motivates you to continue forward?
Yes. It's my faith in God. It's my faith that knowing I am not at this alone. It's my devotion to my new purpose, Marcus. Like I always knew that this is what I was supposed to do, but it's absolutely my purpose, my faith in God, my purpose. And I have a daughter that I'm raising, and I have to give her a sense of a blueprint, right? If I don't give her a blueprint, who is she going to look to? So that's part of the healing journey too, is that, you have to leave a legacy of healing. I think our legacy has taught us so much about pain and suppressing emotions and abuse and anxiety and depression and excessive worry and withdrawals and poor self-care, consistent low energy, suicidal thoughts. We don't want our friends and our family to experience that. So knowing that I could have, um, that I can help just one or two people, that's enough for me. So it's my faith, it's my devotion to my purpose, and my little princess. They keep me going.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Miss Erika, leaders are readers, and I know you're a leader. What's a book you recommend every person should pick up and check out?
Hands down. So let me just say this too, so we being transparent on this live. I haven't been the best reader, Marcus. This is new for me. Okay, the way that my anxiety is set up, child, sitting down with a book and I get a glass of wine, child, I'm asleep. Okay, so I'm trying to focus on getting the book but it's so good for me and my anxiety. So I've been reading this. Listen, I read a couple books last year. One book was supposed to take me a week. It took me 3 months, but don't worry about that. It's none of your business. Come back. I'm gonna tell you a book that I read thoroughly from the beginning to the end, and it's one of the books that my friends we did at the beginning of the year. It's called 1 Month to Live. It's by Carrie and Chris Shook. They are Christian authors, but the premise of the book is this, Marcus. If you had 1 month to live, what would you do? Would you kind of stop living on autopilot? Would you kind of do some of the things that you kind of scared of, but you know you can do it because you can do anything? And I think this book has helped me as far as like this someday syndrome. Like someday I'll start the podcast. Someday I'll read the book. Someday I'll take the trip. Someday I'll respond back to his text, even though I don't want to. But just someday, right? Someday I'm going to do something. So it's helped me. Listen, me and my daughter now, we eat dinner at night together. And I pick her up at 3:05. That's when her school is over, and she'll read a little bit and she'll have a snack and I'll work for a little bit. But like now we do dinner and we sit down and we just talk. And I think a life allows us to just, everything's just fast. And so this book has taught me to not only just slow down, but slow down for the things that matter. And if you were to die and if you only had 1 month to live, what would that legacy be? And I think that helped me with parenting more than anything else. Like if I got 1 month to live, listen, we going to Disney World. You eating all the snacks. Like we doing all of the things. I'm gonna sit down. I'm gonna talk to you. All of the things. We walk to school. We walk back, and all of the things that you think is so minute and so small. That book has allowed me to spend more time with my friends, to call my mom more, to call my dad more, and to do podcasts like this. I was nervous. You know, I normally am the host, but I got 1 month to live, so I'm going on Marcus' platform. Let's go.
Thank you, Ms. Erika. And I that she does not have 1 month to live, y'all. She's going to be here. We want her here. We love her. We need you around. You are necessary. I'm gonna say this till the wheels fall off, sister. You are necessary, and I appreciate you. You've dropped some. I gotta say that name of that book one more time.
So it's called 1 Month to Live. It's by Carrie and Chris Shook.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
You have dropped so many nuggets this episode. This has been a phenomenal episode. Any final nuggets, any words of advice, any tips, any ideas that you want to say to that young boy, that young girl? If your daughter was to stumble upon this episode, what would you say to her?
I would tell her at the age of 6 to make her mental health a priority. I would tell her that mental tension comes from not letting something go. So I would ask her, what are you holding on to? What has you in bondage? What limited beliefs have you held captive? And I would challenge her, and I challenge the people that's listening to this live to explore those responses with a therapist. I would say dysfunction is not a form of love. It is your God-given right to have healthy relationships, emotional safety, and reciprocity. And I need people to start believing that. So I would tell my daughter to make sure that she understands that. And I would say, start telling the truth about how you're feeling with your friends. it at brunch, at lunch, over the phone, over an email, to start expressing your emotions now at a young age, or if you're 60, tell people how you're feeling so we know how to show up in your world.
Love it. Love it. Love it. How can we find you? How can my audience find you? How can we join you on this journey of growth, of love, of personal development, of coaching and mentorship and stewardship? How can my audience connect with you?
So you guys can connect with me on Facebook. My name is Erika Genice on Facebook. I'm sure Marcus, there you go. I'm on Instagram. Instagram is Erika Genice. I'm on TikTok. Marcus, TikTok like me. They like me. They like my little small clips. I'll be busting them upside their head, talking about going to the gym and personal development. But I thought TikTok was just about fun, but they here for me. And so I'm on TikTok with Erika Genice, and my website is amerikagenice.com. You can find me anywhere, or you could just inbox me. You can reach out to Marcus, and he knows where to find me.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Check her out, y'all. I hope this was impactful. Erika, I want to say this to you publicly. Thank you. You are necessary. Thank you. If I could high five everybody in your family right now, I would. I'd high five everybody. High five, shout out, all the love, all the support, y'all. This has been an epic episode, and I want to say we're just starting. This is just starting. She is just getting started, y'all. Check her out on all her social media platforms. She is absolutely transformational. And Erika, thank you for being here. Thank you for being on the show today. I want to say to you publicly, don't ever quit. We need what you're doing.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And thank you all, my audience, for tuning in to the Gentleman Style Podcast Show. I hope this message was helpful. I hope this was impactful, because she has definitely impacted me and is changing the absolute podcast entrepreneurship game. I love it, love it, love it. This is what we do, y'all. You can find this and so many more incredible conversations on her website. Check her out. Let's bring that back up on the big screen. Check her out. I am Erika Genice.com. Check her out.
Yep.
And for my audio listeners, I'm sorry. It's I am Erika with a K. I'm sorry.
It's the butchering for me. It's the butchering today.
I appreciate you guys. But if I mess that up, check out the live interview, because this is live and you'll see the correct spelling. But I love you guys. Like I always end every show, take care of your friends, take care of your family, and always, always take care of business. This is Marcus, your favorite gentleman, and Erika, the Dope Conversation with Dope People podcast host, author, entrepreneur. We love you. Take care.
Love you too, guys. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.